Last night I watched the movie SpotLite. It tells the story of a newspaper, the Boston Globe, and its investigation into allegations of sexual abuse by Catholic priests. It was a most difficult investigation because no one wanted to talk about it. The victims didn't want to discuss it, certainly, not in any very public way. The perpetrators obviously were not talking, and the Catholic Church was doing everything in its considerable power to silence anyone connected in any way to the case. I should say, cases. The investigation began with one priest and numerous victims, but over time the reporters discovered that many priests were involved, and the church knew about it all and was covering it up. Against formidable opposition, the newspaper went ahead with the story, and it cracked the case wide open. Worldwide open, that is. The story was reassuring in that the reporters got their facts right, and the bad guys, the child molesters, the priests, and their enablers, the higher church officials, got what they deserved. Although there was a sense that the church was still hoping that if they threw enough money and calls for prayer and repentance at it, the entire situation would somehow go away. The movie reminded me of a somewhat similar case, minus the religion and the sex, that happened quite a few years ago in my city. At that time, the Chiquita Banana Company was owned by someone living here, obviously an extremely wealthy individual, who also owned a chain of convenience stores, a Major League Baseball team, a bank, and an insurance company. He was often spotted sailing around town in his white Rolls Royce, a convertible, if I recall it rightly. The local newspaper, once also owned by this man, published a special supplement one day. I think it was something like 16 pages, maybe more. It was quite extraordinary. It detailed the horrible working conditions and miserable pay for employees in whatever countries the banana company was located. As I recall, they also covered and documented corruption at the corporate level with payoffs to officials so they would look the other way and do nothing about any illegal or, let's say, highly unusual operating practices. The special supplement was a very real indictment of the company, if not on a legal basis, at least on a humanitarian one. The company was clearly exploiting a huge number of people and raking in a tremendous profit at their expense. Of course, the very wealthy owner of the company prided himself on his spotless reputation of civic engagement, charitable giving, religious devotion, and all-around community leadership. Something had to give. A team of lawyers went over all of the newspaper's work, looking for anything that might discredit the investigation. They found that one of the lead reporters had established a contact within the company and used this as a conduit, a way of linking himself into corporate emails, which he plundered for much of the information vital to the insights and conclusions of the investigation. Information therefore gathered illegally and published illegally. This assessment was accomplished in less than a day. It was a breathtaking exercise of power, legal shock and awe. The newspaper, drowsily dreaming of a Pulitzer, caught a lawsuit instead. Their attorneys told them they had no defense, they could not win, and would be fortunate to settle. An agreement was swiftly reached. The newspaper was gutted. It published in 3 consecutive days an humiliating front-page apology in which it admitted its wrongdoing and retracted the entire investigation, again apologizing profusely to anyone who might have been injured by their shoddy journalism. They also had to pay a fine, I think it was $3 million. The editor was shipped off to another city. The guilty reporter was sacked in disgrace. I think he left the area quite quickly, and I don't know what became of him. What I do remember is that everything in that special supplement, however it was obtained, was undeniably true. That was never disputed, down to the last dollar, but all of it was forgotten like it had never happened, and I have no reason to believe that anything was ever done about the deplorable business practices and miserable working conditions. I'm positive that none of this was ever mentioned again within earshot of the CEO. The entire incident has been, as the spy networks say, redacted, erased. He later sold his interest in the banana company as well as the baseball team, and when he died, all honor was paid to him as the first citizen of the city. A school of business was named for him, and his sons run his empire to this day. The reporter was wrong, overzealous in the way he acquired his information, too clever by a half, crossing the line of the law, and it bit him, rightly so, but he was not wrong in the matter of the veracity of what was published. It was a case, not for the first time or the last, of the law acting for power, not righteousness. A technicality trumped the truth.